Humans have been having sex for 300,000
Huh?
years. Protection has existed for about 200. That leaves 299,800 years of completely unprotected sex. So where are all the people? Why didn't ancient humans fill every corner of the earth within a few thousand generations? Because the answer to that question reveals something about the human body that most people have never been told. Let's start with the math, because the math makes absolutely no sense. A woman living 20,000 years ago could become pregnant from around age 16 to roughly age 40. That is 24 years of fertility. No pills, no condoms, no barriers, no hormonal implants, nothing. If she became pregnant once every 2 years, which is biologically very possible, she could have had 12 children in her lifetime. Now imagine a tribe of 50 people with 15 women of childbearing age. If each woman has 12 children, that is 180 new humans in one generation. Give it 10 generations and you have thousands. Give it 100 generations and you should have millions. But for most of human history, the entire population of Earth was somewhere between 1 and 10 million people, total, across the whole planet. That number did not meaningfully change for over 200,000 years. Something was keeping it down, and it wasn't just one thing, it was five. The first one is death, and not gentle death. Ancient infant mortality was catastrophic. Roughly 40 to 50% of all children born died before reaching age 5. Some estimates are higher. Disease killed them, cold killed them, infections from minor injuries killed them, starvation during bad seasons killed them, predators killed them, accidents killed them. Complications during birth killed both the child and the mother. There were no antibiotics, no incubators, no sterile environments, no emergency rooms. A baby born slightly too early, slightly too small, or during a harsh winter simply did not survive. And there was nothing anyone could do about it. That means for every 10 babies born in an ancient tribe, 4 or 5 would never see their 6th birthday. Modern humans struggle to even imagine this. You grow up assuming every child will survive. Ancient humans grew up assuming many would not. That was just how life worked. Grief was constant, loss was normal, and it meant that even though humans were having children constantly, the population barely replaced itself. But death alone does not explain it. Because even with 50% infant mortality, the math still says populations should have grown faster than they did. Which brings us to the second thing, the one almost nobody knows about: breastfeeding. This sounds strange, but breastfeeding may have been the most powerful form of birth control in human history. When a woman breastfeeds intensively, meaning multiple times a day, including through the night, her body suppresses ovulation. Completely. No egg is released. Pregnancy becomes nearly impossible. This is a real biological mechanism called lactational amenorrhea. Scientists have studied it extensively, and ancient women breastfed for a very long time. In modern hunter-gatherer societies that still exist today, like the Kung San of southern Africa, women typically breastfeed each child for 3 to 4 years, not 3 to 4 months, years. Anthropologists studying the Kung San in the 1970s found that the average gap between births was roughly 4 to 5 years. Not because they were using any form of contraception, because breastfeeding alone was suppressing their fertility for years at a time. This means that a woman who could theoretically have 12 children in her lifetime probably had 4 or 5 in reality. Nature had a built-in spacing system, and it worked for hundreds of thousands of years. Modern humans accidentally broke this system by inventing baby formula and reducing breastfeeding duration. Once women stopped breastfeeding for years, ovulation returned much faster. Birth spacing collapsed, and population growth changed forever. Your great-great-grandmother probably had more children than a woman living 20,000 years ago. Not because ancient women were more careful, because their bodies were doing something that modern bodies no longer do. The third thing is starvation. The human body is ruthlessly practical. If a woman is not getting enough calories, her reproductive system shuts down. Periods stop. Ovulation stops. Fertility disappears. This is not a malfunction. This is a feature. Your body will not create a new life if it calculates that it cannot sustain one. Ancient humans dealt with food scarcity constantly: harsh winters, failed hunts, droughts, seasonal shortages. During these times, women's bodies simply stopped being fertile. Not by choice, by biology. This means that in any given year, a significant portion of women in a tribe may not have been able to become pregnant at all, not because they were preventing it, because their own bodies decided the timing was wrong. Modern humans almost never experience this because food is always available. Your body never needs to shut down reproduction because your refrigerator is never truly empty. Ancient humans did not have that luxury. Their fertility was directly tied to whether the world around them was providing enough to survive. The fourth thing is puberty. Modern girls in developed countries typically reach puberty between ages 10 and 13. This number has been dropping for over a century. Better nutrition, more body fat, fewer diseases, and environmental factors have all pushed puberty earlier and earlier. Ancient humans hit puberty much later. Estimates based on skeletal development and comparisons with modern hunter-gatherer populations suggest that ancient girls did not begin menstruating until around age 16 or 17, some possibly even later. That is 5 to 6 fewer reproductive years than a modern woman. 5 to 6 fewer years of potential pregnancy across an entire population adds up enormously over generations. It is one of the quietest reasons human populations stayed small for so long. Not dramatic, not violent, just biology moving slower in a world that demanded more from growing bodies before they were ready to reproduce. And then there's the fifth thing, the one that surprises people the most. Ancient humans may have actually tried to prevent pregnancy. Anthropological evidence from indigenous cultures around the world shows knowledge of plants and methods used specifically to prevent or end pregnancies. Certain roots, seeds, and herbs were consumed by women across Africa, South America, Asia, and the Pacific Islands for exactly this purpose. The ancient Greek physician Cyrannus of Ephesus wrote about contraceptive methods in the 2nd century. But the knowledge almost certainly predates him by thousands of years. Oral traditions in hunter-gatherer societies include references to specific plants that women used to control their fertility. Did these methods work reliably? Probably not by modern standards. But they did not need to be perfect. Even a partially effective herbal method combined with long breastfeeding, nutritional stress, and late puberty would have been enough to keep birth rates low. Ancient women were not passive. They were managing their fertility with whatever tools nature provided. We just never gave them credit for it. So here is what was actually happening for 300,000 years. Half the babies died. Women breastfed for years, which shut down ovulation. Food scarcity suppressed fertility during hard times. Puberty arrived years later than it does now, and some women actively used plants to prevent pregnancy. Stack all 5 of those together, and suddenly the math makes sense. Humans were not filling the Earth because the Earth was pushing back. Biology was pushing back. Survival itself was pushing back. Every system in ancient life, from food supply to disease to the chemistry of a mother's own body, was quietly regulating how many humans could exist at any given time. And then everything changed. Agriculture arrived roughly 12,000 years ago. Humans started staying in one place. Food became more consistent. Breastfeeding durations shortened because grain-based baby food became available. Puberty started arriving earlier because nutrition improved. Infant mortality slowly dropped as communities stabilized, and human population exploded. It took roughly 290,000 years for the human population to reach 5 million. It took only 12,000 more years to reach 8 billion. That is not a gradual increase. That is a dam breaking. For almost all of human existence, nature had a system. It was harsh, it was brutal, it was often heartbreaking, but it worked. Women's bodies, food supply, childhood survival, and the difficulty of simply staying alive all combined into a system that kept human populations in balance with the world around them. Modern humans removed every single one of those limits in the span of a few thousand years. And honestly, the strangest part is not that ancient humans had so few children, it is that we ever assumed they should have had more. Because for 300,000 years, the human body knew something that modern humans forgot. That life was not meant to be unlimited. It was meant to be possible. And for most of history, possible was enough.